All right, video number 2 for day 2 of the practice exam for Algebra 1A. All right, so we want to put this in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And if you remember, when it goes with a 0, that automatically is b. Excuse me, I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. All right, so this here is b as well. This is your x1, y1, your x2, y2. Same thing here, x1, y1, x2, y2. It's going to run out of room down here. I'd put it down here. Because we're going to use our slope formula, which if you remember is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so I'm going to start both of these problems like that. I've said this is how I start it all the time. And just go plugging them in. So 8, y1 is 4, x2 is 2, x1 is 0. Excuse me. 4 over 2, which is 2. So when I write mx plus b, 2 is my slope, so that's 2x. And then again, b is the one with the 0. So plus 4 here because it's a positive. Same thing here, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Plug that into your calculator because a lot of people are going to make this mistake. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. I'd zip-zap there to get a 1. And that's a negative 6 for my slope. That goes next to the x, the one with the 0. Comes down and it's negative 4, so it's minus in the problem. Point slope form though is this one. So when I go to plug this in, it's got me give me everything I need. This is a slope, and this gives me the point x1, y1. So y minus, well, this is x1, y1. So 4 equals the slope times x minus the x value, which of course becomes a plus. Now don't overthink this when you're trying to graph it. This gives me the point negative 3, 4. That's my x1, y1 when I plug that in. Go graph that. Negative 3, positive 4 is right there. And just use your slope from there. Negative 1/2 means down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. You don't have to keep going. That's good enough. When we do inequalities, I'd like you to do a little more, right? And go probably to there. All right, so there's that problem. Let's go on to the next one. Point slope form again is this here. So I've got to find my slope first. We already found the slope formula again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to start labeling these x1, y1, x2, y2. Same thing over here, x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug them in. I'm going to kind of do this fast. 1 minus 5. 3 minus 1, again, x2 minus x1, gives me negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. On the next problem, again, I get 2 minus negative 4, 1 minus negative 1, to give me 6 over 2, which is 3. And then I could take either x1, y1, or x2, y2 to write my point. So in other words, y minus 5 equals the slope times x minus the x value. Or I could have taken this point and did y minus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. They are the same thing. Either answer is correct. Same thing over here. Y minus negative 4, the slope times x minus negative 1, or y minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 1 from that point there. Okay, either or. For these problems here, it wants to determine if they're parallel, which would mean they're the same. If they're perpendicular, which would mean opposite and flip, or reciprocal, if you can remember that word, or neither. So what I want to do is look at the slopes. So that slope, and I got to find the slope on, sorry, you can't see all that. Let's give you a second here. Parallel means same. Perpendicular means opposite, flip. And so what I did is circle the slopes on 2 of them, and on the other 2 I got to find my slope yet. So I just solve it for y, and the number next to x will be my answer. So minus 4x here. Again, a lot of people try and combine these. That's not 2x. You can't combine them. Write them in either mx plus b form or even 6 minus 4x, because the next step you would just divide everything by negative 2. And the number next to x will give you what you need, which is 2. And those two are the same slope, so they are parallel. Or I guess you could write the word. Okay. All right, and then this one. Okay, I got a plus a 6x to both sides here. I'm going to write it the other way just so you can see it's the same thing. Dividing by negative 2 negative 2 minus 3x or plus negative 3x. Either way, I see that negative 3 and that 1/3 and 1/3 and negative 3 over 1 are reciprocals of each other, and they are opposites of each other because one's positive and one's negative. They are flips. So this is perpendicular, or that. Okay? All right. So that's how we do those two problems, just determining slopes and comparing them. Let's go to the next page. I feel like this is going to be a little bit longer video today than it was yesterday. All right, so first we want to find the slope of this line. Okay, well, look at that. Pick 2 points. There's a point right there. There's a point right there. There's a point right there. There's a point right there, and so on. And that is up 2 over 1. So 2 is my slope. My y-intercept of this line is right here at negative 2, or if you want 0, negative 2. So that gives me my first equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, or 2x plus negative 2, however you want to say it. Okay. Now, if line B goes through point 0,3, let's go plot that point, 0,3, okay, and it is parallel, which means it has to have the same slope, then I would go up 2 over 1, and really I'm going to go the other direction to show you a parallel line. That's not a bad straight line. Okay, and I get y equals, again, same slope, so that's 2x with this y-intercept, plus 3, right? That should make sense. Plus 3 is my y-intercept, up 2 over 1, yep, it works. Okay, for perpendicular to line A, that goes through 0, 0, so that's going to have a point here. Y equals, if it is perpendicular, like we said on the previous page, it is the opposite, so negative, and the flip of 2 over 1 will be 1 over 2. That's my slope. And then you could put a plus 0 out here, or you don't have to. It doesn't matter. Either way, that's going to be the answer. Okay. Now, to graph that, I started at that 0, 0, and I went negative down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. I'm going to do it a couple more times over here, and there is my line perpendicular. Okay. That's it. That's all you got to do for that problem. It looks like a lot, but just read through it. It's not that bad. Just got to know parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular is opposite flip. Okay. For these problems, we've seen a lot of these problems. You start with whatever you start with, and you subtract, well, what you pay your friend back, which was $15. So now I got $25 left, and I'm going to be taking away some more things. So I'm going to take away, well, $1.69 times 2, because I got 2 of those, and 4 of those. So I'm going to take away another $125 times 4. And maybe you throw this stuff in your calculator and you get $3.38, and for this you get $5. And when you subtract 225 minus 338 minus $5, you get 1662. Okay. All right, let's start looking at some of these solving by ordered pairs. For this one, x equals -1 right here, and it is a vertical line through that point. It goes through the x-axis. Y equals, look, here's the y-axis. Y equals -2 right here, and it is a horizontal line through there. Look how I could test this. This is the point 2, -2, 4, -2, -3, -2. They all have a y of -2. These all have an x value of -1. And where do they cross? Right here at -1, 2, which makes -1, -2, excuse me, which makes sense because that's the x and y value. That one you can answer without even graphing. For the rest of these, you got to use your rise over run. So I always start at the y-intercept 4. I'm going to get a different colored pen here. Hang on a sec. All right, so I've got +4 where I start, and negative means I go down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2. There's my first line. Okay, my second line. I need to start again at -1 on the y, which is right here. And 2x means up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. There's my winner. Right there. That is the point 2, 3. That's my answer. I'm going to just check it real quick. When I plug in 2 here, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. Good. When I plug in 2 here, half of 2 is 1, -1, plus 4 is 3. It works. Okay? All right. The next part should be some of the easier ones because it's just plug it in and use your calculator. So I plug 2 into x, and I plug -5 into y. So 3 times 2 plus 2 times -5, does that equal -4? And when I plug it into my calculator, I literally want to plug it in again just like I see it. So 3 times 2 plus 2 times negative 5 equals negative 4. Yep, it checks. And then 2 plus negative 5 equals negative 3. Yeah, that checks. So that gives me a good old yes. Okay. Next problem, when I plug, this is x and y, so I plug y into these spots, and I plug x into those spots, and I get 2 equals 2 times negative 2 plus 6, which is going to check in my calculator because negative 4 plus 6 is 2. 2 equals 3 times negative 2 plus 9. And, well, that probably isn't going to happen because we already had something else. But this is negative 6 plus 9, which is 3. That's not equal to that. And hence, no, it doesn't work. Okay. Next page. We're doing okay here. Going to have to take a sip. Next ones are solved by elimination or even substitution. And I'm probably not going to make it much harder than this on the exam. So the first problem, and this was like on one of our mini quizzes as well, I see things that can be canceled, so I can just add down. And by add down, I mean add them. 4x plus 4x is 8x. Those cancel because it's 0. 6 plus negative 14, you literally plug it in your calculator that way. 6 plus negative 14 is negative 8. Some of you are going to go wrong because you try to put a 20 there. You don't add them. You don't subtract them. It's 6. You don't add 6 plus 14. You don't go 6 minus negative 14. It's just 6 plus negative 14. Divide by 8. X equals negative 1. Go back and plug it into either of the equations. Right? If I plug it in here, 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 plus 2y equals 6. Add 4 to the other side to get 10 and divide to get y equals 5. If I plugged it into the other one, I get negative 4 minus 2y equals negative 14. I'd add it to the other side to get negative 10, and I would divide to get y equals 5. I don't need you to do both. What I do need you to do is write the answer as a point, because that's what it asked us to do in the original problem. Write the answer as a point. Okay? On the second one here, nothing just cancels, so I do have to multiply a line. And in this case, if I multiply this by negative 2, I get negative 4, and that will then cancel out. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. 4x plus 2y equals 6. Negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 6. And hopefully that tells you right away. Everything cancels. If I get 0 equals 0, IMS. If I get 0 equals 6, no solution. If I get 4 equals 4, IMS. When they're the same, it's IMS. When they are different, it is no solution. When you get an actual variable, well, that means one solution. Okay, and it doesn't ask us to write that. All right, down at the next problem. Substitution, which means plug it in. So for this problem, plug it in right there. And we get 3x minus 4 equals 2x plus 2. And I just start taking stuff away from both sides. I think if I had to do this again, maybe we'd have like something different than just plug them into each other, but it is what it is. Minus 2x to both sides. 1x minus 4 equals 2. Add 4. And x equals 6. Plug that in. Y equals, I'm plugging in the second one just because 2 times 6 is 12 plus 2, which is 14. Does it work here? 3 times 6 is 18 minus 4. Yep. So I get 6, 14 as my solution for that one. Okay. So similarly here, you're going to plug this in right there. 2x minus 8 equals, I'm going to distribute this at the same time to get 2x minus 6. Again, 2 times x and 2 times 3. Minus 2x to both sides. And this is what I was talking about earlier. You get two numbers that are not equal to each other, that means no solution. Okay, you can write no solution if you want. Okay. All right, 52 is a lot like that other problem on the other page here. So we start with 10 driveways, $30 a driveway. Right? You can go 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 10 times, or you can just go 30 times 10 to get 300. That's your total amount that you have now earned, right? You got to pay your 4 employees $40 each though. So 40 times 4 is 160. You're going to subtract that. You're going to subtract, let's see, 5 cups of hot chocolate for $1.25 each, which is $6.25. And you're going to subtract 5 donuts for 85 cents each too, which is another $4.25. You're really good to your employees, I'll say that. And you get $129.50. Pretty sure. On 53, again, this is x and y. These are just plug it in all over again, just like it was on the other page. So I plug in, tell whether that, so this is a yes or no, by the way. Plug in x in there, 4 times negative 1 minus 2 times negative 6 is greater than 10. Is that true? I don't know. Let's see. Negative 4 plus 12, is that greater than 10? Is 8 greater than 10? No, it is not. Okay. Again, you could plug this all into your calculator. It would just give you 8, right? So 3 times 4 minus 4 less than or equal to 9. 12 minus 4 is 8, and that does work, so it's yes. Okay, again, plug that in. Don't have to do that in your head. Okay. All right, one more page, and we're sitting at probably about 20 minutes or so. All right, so we've got on this problem, to be able to solve this x, it's got to be a vertical line. We got to first solve for x, so we divide by negative 2. And the reason that one is significant and the one place it's going to happen on this exam is because when you divide by a negative, you need to flip the sign. So you're going to graph x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So I put a dot at negative 3. It's a solid line because it is greater than or equal to, And again, I see the arrow going that way. Where the x value is greater than negative 3, they're all over here, shade over here. We have also used the 0 trick. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 3? It is, so I shade towards 0. Okay. For this one, first I would just solve it for y equals ms plus b, because then it's pretty easy to graph. Y is greater than 3x minus 4. Again, we always start at our y-intercept right here and go up 1, 2, 3, right 1, up 1, 2, 3, right 1, and up 3, right 1 again. Now this is a dash line because there's no equals to. Greater than or equal to meant a solid. Greater than means dash. So not as great as I'd like it to be, but oh well. And this is greater than. So if I put my pencil on the y-intercept, where the y value is greater, it is up here, so I shade up here. The other way we talked about it is plugging in 0, 0. If I plug in 0 here and 0 here, I get that. That is true. So 0, 0 needed to be part of the solution, part of the shaded region. Okay. Down below, let's see. Let's maybe start at b because it's very similar to what we just talked about here. X is negative 1 right here, and it's got to be a dash line through x. And then 0 is greater than negative 1, or again, the x values are greater over here. Okay. Y is positive 3 right here. Less than or equal to means a solid line. And again, 0 is less than or equal to 3. It works, so I shade towards 0. Or again, whereas y less than 3, it's down here, so I'd shade down here. And you can see where our double shaded region is, all up in here. All right, for 55A, I'm going to graph this by starting again at 1, positive, and going down to right 1, down to right 1. I'm going to continue it in both directions here and draw a solid line. And I start my pencil here. Where are they less? They're less down here, so I'm going to shade this. Again, 0 less than or equal to 1, it works, so I shade it towards 0, 0. For the other line, I'm going to start at negative 2. And I'm going to go up 1, right 3, and I'm going to go the other direction as well, even though it's hard to see. Right there. And have a dash line. 0 is greater than negative 2, it does work. Or again, if I put my pencil there, where are they greater than that? It's up here, so I would shade all of this. And you can see where your double shaded region is here. Okay. All right, so last problem. Whew. We did it. Well, almost. All right, dashed line with a positive slope. Well, which one of these has a positive slope? Well, this one's going uphill, so that's a positive slope. That one's going downhill, so it's a negative slope. So just determining which one is which first. Okay, so the dashed line means that they have to be either greater than or less than, for sure. I know I'm going to start with y for both of these. I know that both of them need to start at the y-intercept, and I see a y-intercept here of 0, 3, and I see a y-intercept here of 0, looks like actually 4, 5, 6. Okay. So, what does that mean? Okay, so we're going to go 6 for the negative slope and 3 for the positive slope. For the positive slope, I'm going to go up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. Okay, so that's just 1x, and it's positive because it's going up. For the negative, I go from here to here, or here to here, or here to here. That's down 2, right 1. So that's negative 2 for my slope there. And again, if I put my pencil on 6 and I see that this is shaded down, right, so less than 6, and if I put mine on 3 and I see that this is also shaded down to the values less than 3, then I got that. And there's my 2 equations. Done. Okay. All right. A little over 20 minutes, a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. Now you got 2 videos to watch. If you do anything before you come to this exam, please just watch these 2 videos. It'll be 45 minutes of your life, actually less than, it'd be like 40 minutes or less of your life to get you prepared for this. Please, please, please study. Do what you can to do your best. I've talked to many of you about where your grade is and where it could be in positive or a negative way. But if you have questions, please come see me. Good luck on your exams.